Jax, really big week for him last week on Tracer. The big question for me, week 1, didn't look so hot. There were a few shaky moments for him. Last week, admittedly, lost a few duels against Obling from Singularity. This week round, I want to see him play more on the Tracer, and I want to see him do it well. That is what is going to be able to set him and his team apart from those who you might write off in this group.
My big one to watch on the side of Orgless and Hungary is Immortal. Second week on the roster now. Has the cohesion on this team improved with his shot calling and his leadership? Will we see a slightly more cohesive Orgless and Hungary coming into this matchup against what has been almost an infallible British Hurricane?
Very much so. And I mean, main tanks, we had a good chat as well just before we started here today. We were saying, you know, Fusions or Tonic, who do you take away as your winner in this one? You spoke very highly of Fusions in the past. Even the little dance you're doing behind the camera suggests exactly the same. Fusions was your boy last week, and Tonic, I've got to say, hasn't been the noisiest of the main tanks that we've seen. Hasn't really been the big stalwart that his team needed to be. Today, that could change. Immortal onside may change a lot about this team, and Hurricane will make sure they're going to continue that win streak from the previous weeks.
Well, speaking of tanks, they're taking that high ground already, looking to move around. Crusade's actually found Shax already to kick things off, so that's not what you want to be having from your DPS performance so far. A lot of conflict happening around that big HP pack at the moment in Facility. Going to find Happy Fusions onto Eps as well. They're all skirmishing around big health. And look at that, Fusions leading the charge, trying to get Lucio, but Immortal is a little bit too fast being that DJ he is.
Kind of out-pressured there almost, Orgless and Hungry. The kind of target prioritization wasn't top tier for them. Gotta say, Fusions, we were talking about these main tanks again. Leading the charge there, like you say, focusing on the supports and bringing them down was the key one. Hurricane, the first capture of the week.
And yeah, they're going to be keeping hold of this at the moment. You know, it's nice to get that tick going. And Orgless and Hungry not really changed up what they're doing at the moment. They're keeping Facility on Widowmaker and allowing Shax to play that Tracer that he favors so much. So they're going in for another conflict there. Hurricane using the terrain very carefully. They know Facility's there on that Widowmaker, so they're looking to hold on to this and play around the terrain a little bit more.
Fusion's looking quite low here. They need to be careful how far he tries to go. Jumps right in there and gets completely annihilated, as you'd expect.
Yeah, and it's all just going to skirmish around here. Facility, he's on the low ground at the moment. Needs to get back up to his height. Craggy nearly got that Pulse Bomb, and here's Tonic. Kind of force him off the point a little bit more. Sticks him with it. But I actually know he got eaten by the Diva mech there. She defense matrix that away as Facility currently popping off with multiple shots on that Widowmaker.
Good stuff from Facility. He actually managed to bring the Diva down as well. Finzy went down before he could jump to the other side. Happy Cool couldn't get back into his mech there before he got picked off by Facility. That was a really weird dive though. Like, Tonic was on half health when he went for the dive in, landed, and while Orgless and Hungry were like, oh look, free monkey. Brought him down, and suddenly in a 5 versus 6, the dive falls apart for Hurricane, and Orgless and Hungry really are given a free win.
Well, with the infra sites active, they know exactly where Hurricane is, so it's going to be hard for them to get the drop onto Orgless and Hungry. But Hafikul, he's diving in straight away. He's got that self-destruct available, but it's just two monkeys brawling in the cage at the moment. It's going to be Tonic taking down Crusade, but Facility still getting picks. No one's been dedicated to shutting him down just yet, because these tanks are being held up by the rest of Orgless and Hungry.
There's no real answer to Facility so far. They're looking towards Kid, they're looking at Fusions and Happy, they're thinking we've got all these tools to get onto that high ground and deal with the Widow, but so far it's not working out for him. He's being given free reign. The guy is literally, or just was on fire, you should say. Number of pickoffs he's getting in these fights, definitely winning it out for Orgless and Hungry so far.
Now Shax, we're on board with him again. He hasn't had too much of an impact. Got a couple of frags so far, but he's not popped off like we'd like him to be. Sound barrier being used by Funny Astro to lead the charge in. They're all taking the fight straight to the back line to hopefully get Facility caught up into that fight as well, into that ball of dust of fist throwing, cartoony style. Facility takes out Crusade, finds both the supports of British Hurricane, so they're really being shut down now. Shax, he's won that Tracer duel now. A little bit one-sided, but still gets the victory.
We were quite, you might say, unlucky to sit and watch Shax for all of that because he didn't really do much in that fight. He got a bit of peppering down to the supports, but Facility was there as kind of like the older carer, like, come on, I'll help you out with this one. So he was like, turn to Facility, thanks, Dad. Brought down the guys he was trying to kill. So very much so, once again, it's on Facility. Hurricane yet to adapt, and we spoke about their flexibility. They should be dealing with this with their own Widow, but no one is contesting him right now.
And the wall hacks have been refreshed as well, so no surprises coming out from British Hurricane. It's going to be really hard for Crib and Craggy to get onto that back line. Sound barrier being used by Immortal at the moment. Keep everyone healthy. There's the self-destruct on the point. And it's Transcendence coming in from Crusade as well. Going to try and keep everyone healthy. But Crusade finds Shax yet again. Second time this game as Finzy shuts down support of his own. Dragon Blade coming out from Kib finds Eps. He's 53 HP. He needs to dash away. He can't keep up in the fight. Overtime being forced out. That self-destruct gave Orgless a little bit of a breather, but it's still being neck and neck. Equal numbers on the point. You've just seen Haffical lose his mech, and Finzy's just straight up ignoring him. They want to go deal with everyone else, and now Fusion's diving onto the backline. Finally shuts down Facility, but I think it's a little bit of too little too late as the rest of the reinforcements from Orgless are coming in. Pulse Bomb available for Shax, throws it out. It's a swing and a miss, unfortunately. He hasn't missed it twice at the moment. But there we go. Shax getting dashed through by Kib, but he's got no HP remaining. His Eps will shut him down with the Moira. They're still stalling this out, but Orgless and Hungry, they've very much got control at this point. It's only Fusions playing the swan song out. And there we go, Orgless and Hungry picking up the first round against British Hurricane.
Now let's not get too excited, because we did this in a couple of previous weeks where we were like, oh my god, they're taking the first round, they're going to roll these guys, and then the next two go completely the other way. Even Jaws sat there and said, I'm expecting a 2-1. He's not wrong so far, but then none of us are. I think what was really impressive about that round was Orgless and Hungry knew what was going to work and didn't change from it. For Hurricane though, they struggled to adapt. They kept trying this dive onto Facility and caught him once in the whole round. And Kib as well. I think I saw Blade come out once in the entirety of that round when you've had 150% worth of time on the point and you get one Blade out that kills, what, one person? That's not the kind of thing you want. And I've noticed a few times the guys on Hurricane have been left kind of floundering. The tank's on half health. Crusade either needs to get a bit closer to them, make sure he's keeping them topped up, or they need to change something up because right now it is not working out for them.
Shax also had a very muted performance that game. We talked about his pulse bombs missing. Also, he had a couple of them eaten up as well, I believe, by a defense matrix. So only got one off that we saw on screen. It didn't really land. Facility going to switch over to the McCree, so a little bit more mobile and hopefully a little bit further up into the battlefield, but not too close. He will get burst down still. They're skirmishing around this area at the moment. They're looking to go around, but they've actually peeled round to the main entrance. Haffical gets that D-Mech onto Finzy. Now Kip, he's up in the air. Facility's gone low. He's having a much better job of getting him down. And there's Haffy with the boosters to shut him down himself. As Fusions finds Eps. There's a double pulse bomb coming out from Craggy. No more healings and your tank line's missing. British Hurricane, dominant first hold.
Team kill coming through as well. This is why we said let's not get too excited off one round. I've got to say, Facility, what's happened to that Pharaoh? We've been speaking about it quite a lot. Finally! Cast a Curse almost coming through there. Worked magic for them last week. The real worry for them, I think, coming into the map was we know Hurricane are going to respond to this immediately. What they've seen instead is an Orisa come through. They've seen the Roadhog as well for Shax. Didn't really work out. Now changing over to the Pharah, it's playing to their strengths.
Absolutely. You've got yourself a Tracer, the Pharah as well. Eps staying on the Moira, so going to be obviously pocketing Facility throughout this entire time. British Hurricane might not have all the tools in their kit to shut it down just yet, but they are a versatile team who can adapt if they feel like they need to. They're holding on to the point at the moment. No one's really focused Facility at the moment. They're trying to keep the fight very low level, keep them down on their terrain. Here comes the sound barrier out from Funny Astro. Going to keep everyone having that shield. Craggy gets the D-Mech. A Goomba Stomp comes out from Fusions to finish off Finzy, so he's taken out on the board. Will we see a Resurrection coming out, or do they want to keep the pocket onto Facility?
It's quite strange because generally with the full dive sort of setup, we've got Hurricane going, of course, taking Crusade instead, Crusade onto the Moira instead of on the Zen here. They're looking to get onto a target and bring them down. You can't really easily bring down a Pharah with this comp. However, what they've done so far is just ignore him and focus entirely on the ground war. The fact they're winning this out and they're not too bothered about what's going on in the sky just means they're very confident in being able to deal with this. In Facility, you've got to capitalize on this and start getting more kills in this fight. He's
got a barrage. He's waiting for the right time to do it. The deflect came out. That would have been a good cue. And Kib didn't run away, but Tonic, he's not going to be able to deflect that lightning away from Winston. Facility finally gets a kill on the board onto Happy, still sitting on that barrage at the moment as the Valkyrie is about to expire for Eps. And Crusade, having used that Coalescence, he's going to die as well. Finzy shuts him down. Immortal onto Fusions as well. So nice retake from Orgless and Hungry. 86% from the Hurricane though.
It took quite a while, but it worked out for them in the end. Getting those crucial picks onto the supports was the big one for them at the start of that fight, and they've got Barrage available once again. Let's see what Facility can do with it. I'm looking to see him get a big one down to that support line to keep this going, but they've got to win a few more fights.
And here's the change up coming out from Hurricane. They've taken a Pharah of their own. They've whacked Crusade on that Mercy to pocket him, so we could see some aerial duels, but it looks like they're opting to just see who can kill the ground units a little bit faster than the opposing man. Might opt for the go for the draw. Fires the odd shot off. Does take a direct. Will use the concussive blast to reposition himself. Oh, that's a nice direct coming out onto Facility. But they're just taking pop shots at each other whilst focusing their main attention on the ground. Craggy with that pulse bomb onto Immortal. So no healing for the rest of the team if Eps is still going to pocket Facility. He's got up into the air. Shax with the D-Mech. There's Tonic. So that's that Tracer Winston duo again, finishing off targets as Fusion's going to get killed out by that. There's Shax again on Funny Astro. He's not having a bad day this day. And then Shax again with the pistol whip onto Craggy. So he's still leading the charge at the moment. Nearly has the range to take out Crusade, but not quite just yet. But it's still Orgless and Hungry holding on to the points.
Pharah battles are really funny because generally every 1 in 4 rockets will go towards the opposing Pharah. The reason why you do that is it means they have to keep on ducking and weaving to dodge those rockets. They can't afford to stay static. Generally as Pharah, it's quite hard to stay static anyway, but in some cases it can force you to use more of your fuel and you have to move around a bit more, means you have to fall lower to the ground, meaning you can get picked off quite a bit easier. Otherwise, all those rockets are going down, trying to melt down the supports and the tanks. Here comes another engage.
Yeah, Winston going up in the air. The Valkyrie is keeping everyone alive in that death ball at the moment, but they're going to have to split up in a second as Happy on the front line at the moment, repositioning with the rocket boosters. Barrage straight down onto Kib as the thunderclouds clearing up the skies at the moment, and Crusade with that battle medic going to take Visibility out of the sky. Hopefully there's no res coming out just yet, but it's going to be a resurrection onto Kib. Can't quite get the kill from Shax to shut down the resurrection, so Mercy takes straight back up into the skies and avoids that damage. British Hurricane have the numbers advantage. The self-destruct's going to rain down. No one gets taken out. Nice use of the geography of the map to hide behind it. 90% and ticking to the 99% of Orgless. This is going to be one final fight to decide who's going to get this round.
An ultimate advantage is very clearly in favor of Hurricane right now. They've got 3 online to the 1 of Orgless and Hungry. It should be their fight, Tridd.
And there we go. There is self-destruct into the air yet again. Kib's got a barrage of his own, looking for the right angle. Did get displaced a little bit by the explosion from D.Va's ultimate. He needs to find it again, but they're very much aware of where he is, so this could be difficult to do, especially if he's going to do it into D.Va. It's a bit of a poor angle for it. Doesn't find anything. Damages himself, but it's Facility taking advantage of the static position as Craggy finds Shax. They're still dancing around this point. The tank line from British Hurricane has picked up the scraps from what Kib has left him with that barrage as Tonic wailing on the back line at the moment, throwing his fists around onto Mercy, shutting her down. Going to chase her away with the jump, with the final punch. With the Goomba Stomp as well, will shut him down, but just not enough as he's not on that point.
Got to give it to Hurricane's tanks coming through here, definitely doing work. Fusions and Happy are constantly on this backline and giving them trouble. The other side though, Tonic, he was chasing that Mercy around for a good 30-40 seconds there, trying to bring her down. That's time that you're not focusing on keeping the DPS off your own supports. So ultimately, all it took was for the tanks from Hurricane to kill the other side supports, jump back in and defend their own. And well, suddenly, Orgless are left without a large number of members in that fight, which is why they lost those last 2 or 3 fights. Gotta say, Facilities Pharah, not as inspiring today as it has been last week. A little bit shaky at parts, but hey, trying out the Soldier now. Let's see how that one works out for them.
Well, it's being answered by Kib Soldier as well. They're both opting to take it onto Lighthouse. Craggy still on the Tracer, Shax still on his. Hard to say who's had an edge in this duel so far. It's been fairly even between the 2 Tracer mains on both of these teams. I'd like to see how it kind of diversifies a little bit over the course of the series and where we can bring out Craggy's deep champion pool that he can have, or will he just be stuck playing Tracer the entire game?
It's kind of the same story with Shax. We've said it about both of these guys, is Tracer is always going to be their go-to, and we need to see more from both of them to really step up and show they are one of the more dominant DPS. It's all good being a one-trick. That's not going to get you too far in Contenders.
Now Shax, he's looking at that duel with Craggy at the moment. He has a slight HP lead, but the recall being used at the moment, still dancing around the point. He's using cover a lot more effectively than what Craggy's been using. He can dash away, comes up behind him. There's a boot off the edge of the map by Funny Astro. He finds not only 1, but 2 in the form of Immortal and Tonic. So he's going to give themselves an advantage on the British Hurricane. Shax finally shuts down Craggy. They're going to give the point over to Hurricane as the rest of the team. They've been forced into that house and away from the point.
I was about to say, Happy's still been left alive here for so long, and that was really weird that they gave the point over to Hurricane so easily. This is all percentage that they're losing.
Sound barrier being used as well as attack visor. They really want to nail home this first capture as it's a little bit shaky and was down to positional errors from Orgless, but there's Immortal again with the damage, not with the environmental kill. X also finding a kill of his own to the support from Orgless and Hungry, lifting up their trousers saying, I'm going to put on my big boy pants today and start taking some kills and taking some names.
Got to start taking some names sometime soon, and finally they catch it, but literally this has taken so long to cap. They've given away a third of the point off the back of leaving 2 members uncontested on the point because they were too busy fighting in-house. If they'd jumped back and dealt with them first, at least keeping the point neutral, they wouldn't have had to stage such a big fight back, and that is a huge advantage to British Hurricane so early on.
Well, if you look at where the ults have gone, Orgless and Hungry, they've still got 4 in the bag. There's 2 for British Hurricane, nearly going to have that Transcendence up for Crusade, and Fusion's not far off, getting angry himself. They're going to fight around off the point at the moment, come in from an alternative angle. They're using the high ground at the moment to isolate those tanks, but they're both incredibly mobile, so they can come back onto the point. And now the Fusions and Craggy have dived in, they've got 2 frags. Here comes the rest of the team. Sound barrier, self-destruct as well. Finzy, when he's out of that mech, Fusions is straight on him and shuts him down. Shax finds Kib, and now Fusions back onto the point. Shax still around the outside. Craggy has found Immortal in this time somewhere, and Shax is waiting for the right time to go in. Really wants to get close to Funny Astro. Uses the recall because he knows it's a little bit too dangerous at the moment. Finally gets the spray down onto Funny Astro, but he's going to be locked, taken out by Happy Cool. So in control at the moment of British Hurricane. They need to maintain it at the moment. It's Happy so close to getting demeched. There's a little bit of a wimping out from Finzi as he goes straight up to try and buy a little bit more time. Retake still not being secured just yet, but it's Immortal being taken out to give British Hurricane the cap yet again.
Really interesting reset there by Finzi, because I thought for a second going up into the chimney he would throw away the point for themselves, but literally had a small slither left to keep onto it for a few more seconds. Every percentage can count at this point. We speak about staggers a lot and things like escort maps. Here, it's how much time you can waste with the point itself.
Well, Discorded Winston, you may have Primal Rage, but you're still going to get melted down from all the damage coming out from Orgless. And he really was the last man standing at the moment as, well, Lucio is pretty much just an annoying rat at this point. He's not really going to stagger out too long. Craggy goes in for the stall yet again. Meanwhile, Immortal, he finally took out Happy Cool with that boop. So, 61% in counting. Still relatively neck and neck on Lighthouse. And British Hurricane, with 3 ults in the bag against the 3 of Orgless, going to have to try something special here.
Hurricane with nearly 5 online now. Happy's just about to come up as well. This is a good fight for them to take back here, and if they can hold the subsequent fight. So it's going to rely very much so on how many of their ults they can save in this next fight. Ideally looking to use maybe 1 or 2 here, go with the Sound Barrier engage. Try not to use both support ults, but there comes one. Let's see how many more they choose to use.
Sound Barrier to kick things off. The boosters are what brings Vigility his demise. Kip drops down from the chimney. It's Santa Claus, but he's got one gift for you, and it's a blade to the face for Epps. Is he looking to find one more? Nice disengage coming out from Immortal to shut that down. No more resets on the dash. D-Mech. Lightning takes out Tonic. Craggy onto Finzi. Infusions. Again, this guy's been an animal in both metaphorical and literal senses this game on this Winston.
They used every single ultimate to get that point. Happy's ult towards the end, probably not worth it, to be honest, because now they've got to defend against almost 5 ults. They are going to have undone to them exactly what they just did to Orgless and Hungry. Again, they engage with the Sound Barrier most likely, and they just go all out from there. This could be an Orgless win on the first map of the day.
Potentially, they're at 99% at the moment. British Hurricane have control, and they do have ult advantage on the side of Orgless. Finzi going to displace Fusions at the moment. The Discord Orb going to do some work for him as Kip trying to relieve some pressure by just getting in his face. Sound Barrier for Orgless and Hungry as they dive onto the backline, force everyone into the house. Vigility, his Tac Visor, pretty much wasted there other than a zoning tool. No real damage coming out of it. It's Funny Astro takes out Tonic, and there's the recap. Overtime forcing. British Hurricane need to throw bodies at the point now to keep this round 1. This map 1 alive. Transcendence, that will be the trick to keep them all alive. Vigility being forced to come back. Self-destruct, drops down, clears the point for a second, but everyone jumps back on. They know they have to stay. Happy Cool actually jumped off the edge of the map, gave himself the reset without the mech and Fusions and Kip. They're going to try and keep it going. Sound Barrier, another support ultimate being used. Crusade gets sprayed down by Shax. He's looking to find a second support as well. A lot of attention coming out from the side of Tonic as well, but Shax still on the side, still withering down, still peppering at the moment. Needs to be shut down by someone. 40 HP. There's a blade from Kip going straight onto Vigility. Second slash will do the trick. 10 HP. He's going to have to back out and find some help from somewhere. British Hurricane still hold on to the point as Finzi is trying to stall this one out a little bit longer.
He's got 2 kills on the back of this one as well. It's looking really good for Orgless and Hungry right now with this fight back, but it's all about the ultimate economies in this fight, and that is a war that Orgless and Hungry are losing.
And now they're back onto the point. Shax still trying to play spoiler at the moment. He's got a pulse bomb, but I think there's too many targets for him to break down. That might be the lifesaver from Epps with that Transcendence. It's going straight up. That's a nice little exit after eating away the pulse bomb at Happy. Soon about to lose his mech. Can't be shielded from that. Self-destruct. Manages to get it out. Clear off the point. Overtime still ticking down. Someone touched the point as Shax gets back on to stall it out. Orgless and Hungry, they're still throwing bodies at the point and they're not getting an advantage. One support down. It's Crusade gone down. Craggy finds Epps. Finzi shuts down Fusion. Sound Barrier again coming out from Immortal. They don't want to give this one up.
The ults just keep on rolling round for both teams. Neither team coming out on top so far, but you're looking towards those support ultimates. Here comes the out of Kip though. Can he get any big kills with this one? He needs to find it for his team, but he's going to catch no one with his blade trick.
With low HP and being chased around the objective, Primal Rage is going to try and knock him off the map. He manages to give him the slip, get back onto the point. They're still stalling out. Tonic finally beats down Kip, and his Fusion's back onto the point. Funny Astro comes in. Sound Barrier from Funny Astro. The third one of this fight. Finally, there's an advantage as Happy Cool comes in with the mech. Not got his ultimate. Where's the stall? They're sending out a self-destruct and zone him off the point at the moment. They've got the cap. Overtime finally whittles down. God, I'm so tired. Orgless and Hungry finally take out this fight and win Ilios.
Well, there's two kinds of hype that we've had in the first few weeks of Contenders so far. It's Bazooka Puppies in week 1. That one was probably the most exciting, long, drawn-out, ridiculous fight we have seen so far. But it was great because for a long time I thought, well, in this case, Orgless have burnt all 5 of their ultimates. This is going to be done for them now. Hurricane are going to sweep back in, take this one away, and win the map. No. Everyone throwing bodies at the point. It's literally like playing competitive where a team cannot lose. You think that's playing Assault?
Yep.
This is not. That's simply playing Control Point, and it's still
we had in that final
insane.
fight. In the final fight, the ults I was able to keep track of were 2 blades from Kib and I think 3 sound barriers from Funny Astro. That's how long that fight went on for. Something that's going to be not as long as that though is a quick break we're going to take right now. Welcome back to Overwatch Contenders Europe. That was only map 1 of this best of 4 series between British Hurricane and Orgless and Hungary. We're going to jump into our second map very shortly. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about that game. And maybe now that we've had time to bring it down a little bit after the, shall we say, I'm not going to use the word tiring, but expansive finale of that game.
Expansive is a very kind word, I think, to use there. That final point, it was a little bit nuts on Lighthouse as well. I don't know, like... I don't know. I don't understand how one team that comes in with 5 ultimates can't wipe out the other and hold the point. It's almost like I think actually some smart prediction from Hurricane came through where they just pulled back from the point, let them lose 1 or 2 members, and then just kept on rolling back in. It just surprised me that Hurricane took back over the fight again, and then we see another rotation coming back through with less members from Orgless and Hungary to win the point again. It was just nonsensical is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I think that's a polite way of saying it as well. But the rest of the rounds, though, obviously very strong performance from Orgless and Hungary on round 1. I pretty much think that was a shutout from them. And a lot of it was on the back of Facility's Widowmaker and an inability from British Hurricane to shut that down.
Correct. And come on, man. You're all about the Hurricane. I don't know what was going on in that first round. We always speak about their flexibility and how they can play seemingly anything, air quotes. But in that case, they were just kind of going, Widowmaker, play dive. Ugh. Go, 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 go. And it just didn't work out for them. The first dive we saw coming out of them, I was like, what on earth is that? The Winston basically going on a one-man mission to try and kill him was a bit like, okay.
Guys, team?
Exactly.
Question mark?
Yeah, big team question mark coming around over that one. I think it was more his first game of the day. You know, everyone's a bit rusty at the start of the day. Got to kind of get into the swing of things. Lombani going to be the second map that we head on to. This is where we've been speaking about the strengths of these teams, and this is probably what we're going to see be a Hurricane map.
Yes, they've had great success on this in the past. They haven't beaten on Numbani just yet. They have an excellent hold against it. And they played it against Angry Titans, and of course they played it, I believe, against their first week 1 opponents, which were...
Singularity, was
Singularity, which was a 4-0. So maybe it's not just the map. It might have just been the difference in teams at that present time. But it'd be interesting to see what they can pull out against Orgless and Hungry, because they've been having a lot of practice, I believe. They've been playing on Hollywood. This would be the first time they've actually gone to Numbani in their time in Contenders so far.
And quite consistently, what we're seeing over in Korean Contenders is Sombra being picked up pretty much everywhere. But over here in EU, all the teams have said, no one's really gotten to grips with it yet. No one really knows how to play it, where to use it. We're kind of seeing it as not super strong. Like, it's useful, but not super strong. And there's a really good strat you can do on first point Numbani, which makes it incredibly difficult for anyone to do anything. Teams still aren't picking it up. They're much preferring to go to their tried and tested standard comps. In the case of Hurricane, as always, they're going towards the dive as their starting point.
Well, they'll kick things off with the dive, hopefully. It's Orgless and Hungry obviously going to be on that defense first, so they'll shake up what they've got at the moment. But British Hurricane, yeah, it wasn't necessarily working out for them 100% on Ilios against what Orgless and Hungry were running. But I'd like to see them run it on this. I think they can make it work on the Numbani offense. They'll mix it up when they come to the defensive side, obviously. But Orgless and Hungry, we'll talk about the 4 members who are actually on the field at the moment. So they're running Facility on that Soldier again, and Immortal going to be there for the damage boost and the heals on that Mercy.
I was going to say with the Mercy pick, we saw it a couple of times last week. In fact, there was a very impressive Anna Mercy hold last time around. I can't remember from which team, but they held this out for a good solid 3.5 minutes. The strategy you do essentially is you stick Facility where he is now, have your Soldier there with the tank, so he's sticking behind the pillar just to the left-hand side, and the supports have a very, very good retreat path. They can drop back into alley if they get dived onto this high ground. Of course, the problem with dive is you need to be able to get onto that high ground in the first place, so you burn all your cooldowns getting up there. Once the supports drop down, you've got to run through tanks and DPS to be able to get onto the supports, making it very, very hard to bring them down. Unless Hurricane execute this incredibly well, they are going to have to change something up.
The world's most lethal game of Red Rover coming out if they try and get onto their back line of those supports. They do manage to handle that retreat, but British Hurricane coming out the gate storming. I think they've clocked on where D.Va is, and if this is such a common strategy, they probably know what to expect coming around, especially considering that we've just seen Happy get the information to know what they're going to run up against. So, Kip going up high, dives into the back line, immediately tries to get the melee off, but they've done that retreat exactly as you called it, Des. They fell back a little bit, but they're just going to take on the point and try and get some ground here because they've lost that high ground. Craggy takes down Tonic as he maybe bites off a little bit more than he can chew. Tonic onto the D-Mech on Finzi, but Facility finally answering on the side of Orgless and Hungry as Crusade is actually going to take out the support rather than one of the divers, and Kip finds the D-Mech Finzi, shuts him down, cuts through Shax afterwards as well, so that's no one left for Orgless and Hungry to hold on to this point.
Well, I'm glad to see that the dive woes that we saw coming out of Hurricane on Ilios have been rectified incredibly quickly, because that was a very convincing push. What was most interesting was the disruption in the backline to the supports made them fall back. The tanks didn't fall down and join them, and this is what you see a lot of teams do. They move as a unit because, of course, it's very important to keep that tank front line alive. Tonic fell down very early. Happy was the last man to focus, and once he was out of mech, who realistically is going to protect these supports? Short answer, no one.
Well, I mean, I know who I would want protecting me from the tank lineup, but it definitely, yes, it's you. It would always be you first. But if we're talking about Overwatch characters, it would probably be someone like Reinhardt anyway, because he's a big beefy German dude. Anyway, Immortal going to resurrect Tonic at the moment, bring him back into the fighting facility, using that tack visor to shut down any semblance of a push that British Hurricane had on this attempt. But they were clever enough to retreat round, use the terrain and the cover to negate that as they dive back in for a counterattack. Here comes the self-destruct sequence up into the air. Everyone has got themselves to safety as Craggy finds Tonic again, this time with a pulse bomb rather than the spray down. Shax on the side at the moment, trying to come through. There's a Dragon Blade sat on the side of Kib at the moment, shall we say. Tripping over that phrase a little bit as he brings out the Dragon Blade. Surely he's looking for a time to strike. That Transcendence coming out should be the cue for when it expires. He should go in with it, dive onto it, but they might not even need it because they've got such an aggressive positioning. They forced Orgless and Hungry so far back.
The thing is, they've used 5 ultimates to do this. We've seen maybe 1 or 2 come out of Orgless and Hungry. Let's see what comes out of their facility. He's got his own ultimate here, trying to bring someone down. He's going to catch 2 out there. I lie, it's the Mech and the D.Va. I always get caught out by that one.
I know,
but they managed to clean this fight up almost completely. And British Hurricane are forced back. They spent 5 ultimates to get it down what should be a relatively easy stretch of road.
British Hurricane, they've still got 2 DPS ultimates, Pulse Bomb, and they've got the Dragon Blade as well. They know they've got a little bit of downtime with support and defensive ultimates to shut that down. So Kib, when he finds the right angle, when he finds the right opportunity, he should be able to pop off and get a couple of kills under his belt and maybe compensate for the underwhelming blades we've seen so far on Ilios. The rest of Orgless and Hungry going to retreat back around the corner yet again.
This feels like a much cozier spot for Orgless and Hungry. They're happy with the amount of verticality they've got to play with. Here comes the Blaze.
Yeah, dives on the back line, immediately finds both the supports. That's the big boy Blade we wanted as he finds Facility as well. Cuts out the mech, expires before the tasty Diva is exposed from the mech, but it doesn't matter because Craggy, Fusions, they're going to clean it up themselves.
Tridd, how do you spell the word ruined?
R-U-I-N-E-D.
No, K-Y-B. He destroyed them with that blade. Both supports gone immediately, getting through the back line as well and bringing down Facility. That is the entire backbone of this team almost. It was keeping those supports stocked up, completely erased. Very, very good clinical push from Hurricane. Biggest concern at the minute is they're relying on big plays like that from Kib to get them moving forward, because that stall on the second point for Orgless and Hungry was quite convincing.
They've still got 4 minutes 24 to play with, so they've got plenty in the time back despite that impressive stores. They're diving straight into the back line. Craggy onto Tonic. Fusions on Facility yet again. Finzi, he's going to take out that isolated support. Bucket goes down unfortunately, and now here's a Primal Rage Winston with the D-Mech. They blocked her in the staircase. They're trying to not let her escape as Happy Cool guns down Finzi, and they've still got control of the payload. Payload or payload? 4 minutes left. And Facility, he can't find a foot in it until the rest of his team respawns.
The Lord of the Pay. Only got 2 ultimates available though on Hurricane's side here. They've got the Transcendence to force, and they've got the Diva Mech. Their zone control here is excellent. However, going to pull back. They think they want to wait for that blade to come online for Kib before they go for the push. Only 25% left to go for that.
Well, Bucket, he's on the Transcendence of his own. You've got Self-Destruct, Tack Visor, Transcendence from Orgless and Hungry available for them in this next fight. He's going to come out from Hurricane first. They're going to use it preemptively to push them back and gain some ground at the moment. Facility still in safety, but he guns down Fusions with the help of his own Transcendence. He finds Kib as well, so no big blade coming out from him. 96% on that at the moment. Finzi onto Happy Cool. Facility still got Attack Visor. They've won the fight. They don't need to use it just yet. They're hunting and trying to pick off the stragglers as Craggy will have to dash away much farther than what Orgless and Hungry are prepared to chase them down for.
They've still got 3 minutes left to play with here and have 3 ultimates almost coming online, with Crusade not too far away from his. It was a nice, I think, idea from Hurricane pushing forward with Transcendence, but you pops it so early, knowing that Orgless and Hungry at this point will likely have at least 2 ultimates online. So for those guys, a bit of a force, maybe a bit too much so, a bit too eager to complete the map early. Now got to wait it out again. They've got that blade back online. Craggy's got the pulse bomb. If they get into the back line and can bring down Epps, now he no longer has that Transcendence, this could be a 1 fight.
But they're wrapping around the backside instead of going down main at the moment. Healing up Kib, he's at 200 HP. There's the sound barrier to provide him a little bit more safety. He finds the perfect angle, but he can't cut through him just yet. Only finds Facility, the rest of the team. Immortal, you're not going to be able to get to the spawn room, my friend. He cuts him down yet again. The double self-destruct coming out from Finzi. Finds Happy Cool's mech for Shax to then clean up, but he also took out Fusion. Deflect coming out, being bumped around by Finzi as he's going to shut him down as well. Micro Rockets onto Bucket, so despite what looked like a promising push from British Hurricane, it's Orgless and Hungry shutting it down.
This is quite smart what we just saw come out of Orgless and Hungry there, because even though that combo came through and there was a brilliant funneling of multiple members into a very thin space when a Genji with a blade is standing at the other door, it's like something out of some weird dodgy Japanese film where there's a samurai stood there, blacked out silhouette, just holding a blade in his hand, and you're like, oh no, the Shinigami's here to bring us all down. The thing is though, on the other side for Orgless and Hungry, their tanks dove straight into the back line, burnt ults, and equally traded out 3 kills. So although we saw Hurricane get a few kills through, it wasn't enough to decisively win the fight for them.
Now looking to skirmish yet again. 1 minute 40 on the clock. Pulse Bomb sends Tonic through the air, and he will die like a beautiful firework in the night sky. As Facility, with Attack Visor being forced back by Fusions, he's going to change his attention. Here comes the Transcendence to keep everyone alive, but Facility still being kept out of this fight at the moment. Happy Cool takes out 1 support, needs to find the second. Here's reinforcements coming in. It's Tonic, he's jumped back into the party. Shax still trying to whittle them all down. Happy and Finzi find kills at the same time. No more Winstons on the board at the moment, and Shax going to be gunned down by Craggy. He finds him when he needs to in that Tracer duel. Here comes the self-destruct into the air. Sound barrier being used, displaces the mech from Finzi. Here's Kib with another blade. Have to cut through the mech. Finds Epps as they're coming through. They're running into their sword line, and British Hurricane cap it with a couple of minutes to spare.
Much, much better on that final push, because what did they do? They dove straight onto Facility and made sure he did not have free reign onto their attacking members. Good stuff from Hurricane. Bit shaky at points once again. We spoke about this a few times previously, saying maybe not as sharp as we would have hoped on Ilios. Looking a lot better here. I have the feeling these guys are going to warm up more and more as this series goes on. Orgless and Hungry, though, a pretty good defense overall.
Yeah, they put up some waves of resistances. Unfortunately, it wasn't consistent enough. You saw them ultimately fall down and get rolled after they lost that fight on the corner in the second section of this map. And then they just ran it through to the rest of it. Even got it to the last final stretch before any major resistance came out from Orgless and Hungry yet again and put up that wall of stall. So, yes, moments of good defense. Not consistent enough for my liking.
I think that's very much so the story of both of these teams today, though. Performances look good and very, very sharp at points. For example, Kib's good 3, 4, 5-man kills with those Blade. Excellent. That's the kind of standard you expect to see in Contenders. Other times, walking away with 1 kill on Ilios, getting no kills. It's looked shaky in patches. I just want to see more consistency out of both teams because we keep on saying the team that shows consistency over the weeks will be the strongest. Last week, we saw Hurricane go 3-2 against Angry Titans, and we said Giganti so far the only team we are still seeing consistency out of. Need to see more from Hurricane. Let's hope they can do it in this round. Looking onto the other side, though, Facility. We spoke about this Farah before. Let's hark back to Group B when we saw Mosaic facing off against, it was Bazooka Puppies in week 1. They lost very heavily to a very aggressive Farah play. However, the high ground being taken rather than the point, not playing that quad tank, which we keep on harking on about as well, this should go a little bit better for them.
That's the Singularity special, Des. And they're not in this match, unfortunately. So Kib going to be on that Soldier this time around, staying the high ground. With the right assets thrown into him and enough resources from the support and the tanks creating space for him, he should be able to shoot Facility out of the sky. That should go the way of British Hurricane. How effective Facility is at negating how powerful that is and giving himself as much time as possible to shut down the Soldier himself, that remains to be seen, and that will be the difference maker in this first offense. But already, using the angles correctly, using that splash damage, Concussive Blast to separate Kib from the rest of him. He's not going to focus him, more rather go for Happy, who's technically isolated by himself, but he's allowing time for the supports and tanks to readjust to the new positions that they've been displaced to. As he goes up again, here comes reinforcement from the team. Shax on the back line onto Crusade, and Bot
this is the sleep.
Still not being found just yet. Epps takes out Craggy while this has been going on. So they've got a man advantage at the moment. 69% on Facility's Farah, so Barrage still ticking up at the moment, and they've got control. Orgless and Hungry are on the point at the moment, and now they're looking for it. But Shax finds 2. Finzi finishes it off, and just as clean as British Hurricane did it, Orgless and Hungry are going to be taking point A.
They had no real answer to Facility here with the constant shields coming out of Tonic. 900 IQ bubble, by the way. Jumping in front, essentially dropping it down, prevents Kib from getting any kind of spray down onto Facility. And with the supports you've got, I really wish I'd seen a Mercy there because the damage boost would have been so much more effective. Lucio was pretty much static and did not offer very much to that defense. That really is the reason why they lost, it felt, and a bit questionable as well in terms of Happy's positioning. The reason why you hold that far side is to prevent any kind of push coming up that side. You've got the early notification and you can fly across very easily for the counter dive. That's where you see Sombra play when she gets picked up on this first point defense because you hack any of the tanks who are diving in, shut them down. Speaking of shutting down, though, Facility finally bringing out that barrage.
Only finds Bocket with the barrage, was able to find Kib afterwards as well, and Craggy takes down Tonic as Crusade is trying to dodge these rockets coming out from Facility. Not a solid answer coming out from British Hurricane for this Farah at the moment.
Being completely wiped out again and slightly staggered towards the end of the fusions going down late. However, look at the ults on their side. They want to use this now and try and reset these fights because they are losing them consistently.
Now Shax, 32% on his ult charge, but the rest of his team in a much healthier position. You've got a Valkyrie, Transcendence, Primal Rage, and Self-Destruct for the side of Orgless, and nearly mirrored on the side of British Hurricane, barring the changes in heroes themselves. So, equal ults, ready to go for this next fight. Sound Barrier going to kick things off. Here comes the Self-Destruct. This should split the teams nicely as Shax goes for the back line. He's been isolated though. He's been purpled, and the rest of the team will retreat, take him up on themselves as Kib finds Shax. It is going to be another kill coming out at the moment, but Craggy with that Pulse Bomb doesn't need to use it as he finds Epps. The rest of Orgless and Hungry has been shut down.
Good clear out and didn't even need too many ults to do it either. Just fusions charging around. It seems was more than enough to shut them down and reset this one out. I was asking questions around Hurricane and thinking, when did they change? This is their problem on Ilios. It did not change to adapt to the comp we saw coming out of Orgless and Hungry. Equally, Orgless is sticking by what they've had before. They want to use this barrage. They want to make it work to win this second point.
Maybe they're confident in the composition, just not how they're playing it. And
Absolutely.
that's why they're going to be keeping with it for now. Bocket got that nano boost, maybe going to give it to Kib, but here comes the barrage being shut down. Hopefully it finds Crusade as Kib will take him out of the skies as the Immortal flies back in to help out Epps. Resurrection hopefully coming up, but it's been denied, won't find it just yet. Now Kib with the counter attack on this Soldier, attack visor, guns through Diva and the mech operator herself, and now going to be taken out by Epps. With fusions, he's on top of him as well as Happycool with the rockets will find Epps. Shax, last man standing at the moment. Still, British Hurricane holding on to this. 3 minutes left for Orgless and Hungry.
The start of the map didn't go too well, but this second point defense, which generally is one of the harder ones to hold in the game as a whole, not even just on this map, doing it incredibly well, winning 3 fights out quite consistently. They have no ults on side though. You're looking now towards Immortal, maybe to go for an aggressive Valkyrie and keep his team alive as they push in. Let's see how he chooses to use it.
Well, I think they're keeping the payload in the midpoint between each other's spawn rooms, so it's fairly even on the respawns. There's not really an advantage coming out. There's Valkyrie being used to keep him up into the air. Facility being dived on, and the Primal Rage will burn through them, but a Discord on top of him will burn through himself as Shax takes himself out with the Pulse Bomb he delivered for Fusion, so a little bit of return to sender. Going to equalize the point a little bit more as Facility still on top of this payload. He's being damage boosted by Immortal. There's a self-destructor zone way the backside of British Hurricane. There's another Pulse Bomb onto Tonic, this time from Craggy, taking out the Winston, so a little bit more successful. Didn't die to that one himself. Facility keeping them and forcing them behind cover. 91% at the moment on that tack visor, getting ready to pop it. We'll probably have for the next fight. 1 HP left on Facility. So close to going down. Shame they couldn't capitalize on the purple because he was relatively safe in the protection of his team. Now, 70% onto Shax. Diving in, there's the nano boost onto Kib. He shoots tack visor as well. Discord to try and break through those resistances, but it's not enough for one Tracer alone to shut down Facility. Using attack visor with his own, he's dealt with the divers, and now they're looking to head onto the back line of British Hurricane and shut them down as well. Finzi with the boosts onto Happy-Cool, jumping back onto the fight. Winston Bubbles making it very difficult for bullets to go through the entire payload itself. And now Tonic, he was slept as he jumped on and created some space for Bucket. Not been finished off just yet as Kib is going incredibly low, 87% HP. While the chaos has been happening, Orgless and Hungry take it to the 3rd stage.
These guys really, really like their long drawn-out fights because this keeps on happening where they get into a scrap and there's tank ults being traded back and forth, ults come back online time and time again. It just looks a bit scrappy at best sometimes. However, the Facility change from the Pharah over to the Soldier, working wonders for them. Having that consistent damage, a lot more reliable than, of course, the Pharah rockets. Kib
back on that Genji, so hopefully he's going to have some big boy blades yet again. Well, a skirmishing happening around the side of the map, and now they're going to expose themselves from the terrain and try and get onto this back line. You can see Kib looking for someone weak to dive onto, but an isolated Zenyatta is going to be crucial for him. And Shax answers in kind onto Bucket. I believe that's Facility spraying down with damage boost. Valkyrie has been used in that previous fight. Going to resurrect the Zenyatta, and then D.Va, without her mech's going to be very isolated. This is a lot stronger from Orgless and Hungry on stage 3 than what British Hurricane were able to put out, as the kill feed is basically coming up all blue.
And look at the kill, look at the ults coming out as well. Facility will bring out his just to make sure there is no one that can walk through either of these doors. Aiming between the two. Orgless and Hungry complete the map with more time in the time bank than Hurricane. What is happening to Group A's big dogs?
Well, this happened last week. They were struggling in the first stage, and then they had to come back. It was a neck-and-neck fight against Angry Titans. At what point do you start noticing the pattern beyond, obviously, Singularity and going, maybe they aren't as clear favorites as we're pegging them out to be? Or is this just them warming up after the 10-day break?
I have a slightly feeling that teams have taken that time. Don't forget, we had 2 weeks of prior gameplay to watch where teams, coaches, analysts can sit down, watch over those VODs and go, what is it about this team that's making them win? What is it about them that can make them lose? And the answer so far, I've got to say on Hurricane's side, looking very, very static in terms of what they're playing. Apart from the rotation from Kib going across to what he was playing last round on the Soldier, we haven't seen much more come out of this team. They just keep on playing this dive-based composition. I bemoaned them last time as well for playing the Lucio on the defense on first point. Mercy is a lot better going for the full hold. Even an Anna, which they already had on side with Bucket, was nice, but they needed to see more from them. And I don't know, a bit too static for me. I need to see more of a mix-up coming through from them.
Well, Facility going to run that far on defense, so this might actually play against British Hurricane. They're still going to be running that dive. I don't know which one of them is going to be able to potentially shut down Facility, especially if they go expecting a Soldier and all of a sudden that Soldier grows wings and takes off to the sky. You're not going to be able to follow him up there and get that kill unless you've got both your tanks on him and a few pips of peppering shurikens from Kib.
We saw this on Ilio as well. When we saw Facility picking up the Pharah, Kib was forced to go into the Pharah to try and match him as well, just because the dive wasn't working out for them. They may well face the same problem here because they won't be able to shut down the Mercy or the Pharah very easily, purely because they're both behind the sky. No members can really get onto them. Maybe looking towards Happy there to get in the face of the Pharah and just help with some chip damage. Immediately though, Kib goes, right, Farah is on side. We're not going to waste any time on this first point. Straight over to Soldier, drop the Genji.
It's an adaptation in just their strategy to be able to adapt quicker to the circumstances, and one that's going to hopefully pay them some dividends. They've only got 20 seconds left, so time isn't a luxury they have.
Already got Bucket.
Takes down Bucket, so you're running with one support at the moment. Facility going to be able to pepper these tanks at the moment. Hapical dives straight into the face. Will still lose his mech. Going to be peppered down by the rest of them. Look at this. Orgless and Hungry still shutting down British Hurricane. No one's in sight to continue to contend. It's looking like we're going into the halftime 2-0 Orgless and Hungry.
What can I say? Facility being on the Farah could literally have done nothing on the defense, but alone, just picking that, it took them a good 38 seconds to go from doors opening to actually trying to assault the point. They had one go at that. If they'd been quick, maybe they would have got two. It would have been a bit of a pressing, a bit of a scrappy second fight, so I appreciate the effort of going for the one to try and make it work was something they went for. You even saw Happy try and contest Facility, but as we said, realistically, he's the only one on this team who could have done anything. You were looking towards Kib, but he was under fire from the Farah. This is not the way this counter is supposed to go. You're meant to see the Soldier being the one that brings down Facility on the Farah. It didn't work out for them, and a great defense from Orgless and Hungry. Admittedly, a very quick one-fight defense, but a defense nonetheless.
Well, with 1 minute 44 in the time back, they may have multiple attempts where British Hurricane weren't able to have themselves. So they're going to be running that Soldier composition again. They've gone back to the old faithful defense. They're running on Numbani this time around. And you got to kind of ask yourself the question, it's not been working out too hot for them, especially on a point A defense. So do you really want to try again and run it into, well, you don't even know what Orgless and Hungry are going to play at this point.
I had to take 5 seconds there to just pause and just go, rip British Hurricane.
Well, you didn't rip British Hurricane, you buoyed British Hurricane.
Buoyed them. It was in my head, it was a rip, okay? I think the problem here again is the Lucio, like, it doesn't really bring much. All Orgless and Hungry have got to do is repeat the same thing as last time. Just run in, drop the shield on the Soldier, he can't bring down your Farah, rain death from above, and you win the fight. Depends, of course, if we see Hurricane try and mix up where they're positioning themselves. I don't expect it to change, but I want to see Happy stick on this high ground with the D.Va because he needs to keep those supports alive.
Well, the early rockets are forcing British Hurricane into a tight spot, and there's the displacement again, concussive blast.
Deja vu.
Kib, he's been knocked off the high ground yet again, and there's only the tanks and supports up there for now, and now they're going to push back in after they've given them time to regroup and get the rest of the team with them and figure out what's going on. Happy finds Epps this time, so defense still picking up the first frag of the engagement, looking good at the moment, but Finzi, he shut down Cracky, so it's all on Kib to be dishing out these high levels of damage, and Shax gets the D-Mech on the Happy. So, yet again, you're missing a tank, you're missing a support, you're missing a DPS. This should be falling apart for British Hurricane because you've only got to get about 40% on this point to capture it, and Shax just guns down Crusade. They can't break through the line. They are contesting the best they can with what they've got. The Shax go low. Pulse Bomb might be able to turn the favors, but Kib finally guns him down, so British Hurricane might actually be able to hold this out, providing they can finally get a foot on this payload, but Happy already lost the mech, he just got taken out by that rocket, and now Kib unable to do anything as Facility up into the air. Kib backs off again, but it's Tonic with the triple kill. Facility not on the point whatsoever, and Orgless and Hungry, they are going 2-0 into the halftime.
Oh man, I'm expecting to tweet as well after this. I was tweeting at Epps, he was just like, looking forward to our game later, and I was like, so, quad tank their Achilles heel, going to play it? And he was like, I don't need a resident sleeper comp to be able to win this one out. And I was like, we'll see. 2 maps I give it and you'll start playing it. They're 2-0 without playing quad tanks. They are playing this exceptionally well. Right. But to be honest with you, props to the observers as well there in that penultimate fight, I suppose you could say. Really good angle on what was going on because the D.Va was sat there diving into 3 members on her own without any kind of healing coming through. The healers and the Soldier were sat at the back being peppered by Facility on Farah. Miscoordination completely. Why the D.Va didn't pull back there and just go, right, we need to push the team. As I said at the very start, I want to see him on that high ground. I want to see him saving his supports. Instead, he's going for solo man dives, and they lost. Hurricane, communication a bit off, a little bit haggard today. I need to see more from them still.
I don't think it's a communication issue. I really have to keep throwing it back. We know we've said it a lot in the first 2 games. Where is the adaptability? We were saying that British Hurricane is an iceberg. There's so much more depth to them. And we're just not seeing it when they need to. Their biggest counter so far, it's not really, the biggest counter's not really the quad tank at the moment. It's Facility's Farah. You knew this was going to happen. Why aren't you more prepared for it? We're going to take a quick halftime. We're going to have an analyst break it down. Hopefully British Hurricane, they're going to talk about what Farah counters they've got. We'll see you after the break.